Why are you rubbing your nipples now?
Just talking? What's the show about? It's about nothing. It's about nothing.
Just want these guys to know you got another thing coming, bitch. I'm still around.
What's up?
Not much, man. Not much is going on in the world. It's pretty quiet.
Yeah, the world's boring, man. I wish we had ever since COVID happened, nothing happens no more.
Yeah, no, everybody
just-
got docile and quiet.
Everybody's just self isolating, and they forgot how to communicate with one another. They're just reaching out over podcasts, too afraid to meet in person.
Yeah,
Is that
what's going on, boys? Are we ever gonna meet up or what?
I mean,
do we need to?
I mean,
you know how complicated this would be in person at this time, like setting up a desk with all the mics and running all the cables, and I don't got to do none of that. I'm loving this. Everyone plugs it in, joins Discord.
You're made for the what's it, the metaverse? That's what Shindo's made for.
The metaverse. Yo, okay, so let's just get right to the metaverse right now. I'm gonna skip all the banter. The metaverse is bullshit.
Oh, no foreplay, straight in.
No, yeah, let's just get big bang, get the job done type thing. The metaverse bullshit. I've tried understanding it so many times. It's literally like back in our day, there was a thing called Second Life. I think Second Life's still a thing. And it's just like this giant chat portal where people went and they kind of lived their second life. They picked their avatar, their character, gave them. I remember The Office, Dwight had a whole thing on how in Second Life, he's a paper salesman also. Because he's like, I live the best life right now. But the fact that we're trying so hard to sell us this whole concept of the metaverse. And then the other day I was watching GTA 5, which is still really popping. The game that's gone on for almost 6-7 years itself. And right now, one of the big things for GTA is called GTA Roleplay. So people have modded GTA. You go in, you pick a career, like a character, and you play as that character in the GTA 5 world with other people online. So people are like, I'm going to be a nurse. And then when someone gets injured, they bring them to the hospital and you're the nurse. Or some people are like, I'm the gangster. And then they're going around committing crimes, trying not to get caught. But GTA 5... Huh?
Going back to metaverse, doesn't it have legit real world applications? You're going through Walmart, you put your Google glasses on, and you see prices and things, promotions hovering around you.
I don't know, but I feel like GTA is already doing the metaverse in many ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I mean, now you can buy real estate and you can do all this other stuff with the metaverse. So it's kind of
I think they're just
more modifiable. Is that could you say that? It's more
commodifiable?
Yeah,
I don't know. Commodifiable. Word, I don't know. There's just so many questions about the purpose and thing worth of it that I'm kind of thinking.
I just think it's funny how most of the population doesn't know how to live in the real world, and now we're getting
a virtual
one.
Yeah, it's the wildest thing. I think companies realize how big and easy you can scale inside the metaverses. So
is that why the share price tanked so low?
No, the share price was related to Facebook released their numbers.
Oh, and
earnings. For the first time in North America. No, not earnings, engagement. For the first time ever, Facebook's lost and gone backwards in terms of new users.
Wasn't Zuckerberg lost the most amount of net worth that anyone's ever lost in one day? It's like 30 billion or something.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's something crazy, yeah.
I mean, it dropped 30%, which isn't weird for a stock, but because of how high and what he was worth, that percentage to him was this huge, crazy value. So
I've never deleted my Facebook just because I have all these pictures from there.
Yeah, no, I keep my Facebook active. My Facebook, it's the way I keep track of my parents and stuff, and they keep track of me.
They're not on Instagram?
No, they haven't jumped on Instagram.
Parents go hard on that Facebook, man.
Parents are about that Facebook.
They're all on Instagram now. What are you guys talking about?
No, none of my relatives are on Instagram. They're all
Facebook.
Really, your parents are on Instagram? You guys are ahead of the curb.
No, not mine. That's Ranjit.
No, Ranjit's.
Ranjit's always ahead, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, all my chache tai, they're all on it, man. All my puas.
Really, that's wild. We're all Facebook, but because everything I post to Facebook or Instagram gets cross-posted to Facebook,
I don't accept them though. I don't accept them, and not because they're my relatives. but I have this rule where if you have 0 posts, I will not accept you.
I kind of do the same thing. I want to keep my ratio intact.
I don't care about the ratio.
I'm all
I don't
ratio.
I
If
don't
you're not active
care.
on the, if you're not active, I'm not following you.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
I don't wanna add accounts that are just there to creep on everyone. Like not that your relatives creep, but like they need to engage.
but how much?
Yeah, they need to put something back up.
What proportion of your Instagram, the people you follow, are actually putting stuff up? Like it's the same,
Most of
maybe
them.
20%.
I
I think
also
it's
do the thing
20%.
where I unfollow people if they post too much. So if people were doing like more than 3 posts a day, it's an automatic unfollow. I'm like, yo, you're littering the feed. I don't want to keep scrolling through you.
You can hide the feed. I've done that.
Yeah, I learned about the mute feature, so I started using
Hey,
the
the
mute feature
boomer
a little
knows how
bit.
to do the internet thing, eh?
That's why I don't see any.
Welcome.
That's why I don't see anything that Randy does. It's just,
So that
it's all
explains why
hidden.
Robbie hasn't liked any of my photos. But yeah, the metaverse thing, I think this is the one boomer level thing where I'm just like, I don't get it.
Okay, would
I think
you buy real estate though
nope.
in the metaverse?
Someone's asked me, they're like, yo, I'm gonna buy real estate in the metaverse just so that, in case it does pop off, I'll be protected. I'm like, honestly, I'd rather just spend $100 on a video game or something. I ain't
Do you
got time
own
to.
NFTs?
Do I have an NFT. I made an NFT. Do I own
Did you sell
any?
it? Did you sell it?
Did you buy any?
I listed it. I don't think anyone bought it. I thought my NFT was pretty cool, man.
Nobody
But then
bought it.
I mean, I didn't really promote it. NFTs, there's a whole thing on how you got to promote them, what they got to be worth. My whole thing was an NFT should, or like I held a Halo tournament a while ago. So my whole thing with NFTs was I'll give everyone on the winning team a copy of their NFT because it's kind of like, here's your trophy. And in concept, that's cool because now some big esport organizations doing the same thing. So I was like, yes, I was ahead of the curve. I saw something that worked out. The only problem was to send that NFT to each person was going to cost me like $56 in like gas fees.
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
gonna
look,
change. Well, you can change. Isn't it Solana and all that? That's the reason why they do so well. It's so cheap now to do
yeah, so
NFTs on
they
those
all do
platforms.
well, exactly. But
I don't think Randy has any idea what I'm talking about, and I
no,
feel
but like
so happy.
Ethereum, well, the OpenSea was the only one that allowed for like
OpenSea, yeah.
animated GIFs. They were the only one that supported animated GIFs at the time, and I didn't
Well,
want to go to the trouble of like minting it on my own. So I was like, you know what, screw this.
GameStop's actually getting into that now too. So
Oh, really?
Everyone wants to be an
NFT.
OpenSea broker, NFT
Yeah.
broker.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still kind of on the current iteration of NFTs is kind of stupid and useless, and it
It's money
requires like a
laundering.
metaverse. Yeah, it requires like a metaverse type application to really justify owning them because that's where
Unless
you
it's
can kind of
no,
flex
but I
it.
can see, but I can see like in gaming, right? Like, you're playing Call of Duty and you get awarded an NFT that's unique to you and
Yeah,
you
and
hold
like
and you can
Fortnite
pass on and
skins.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it makes
right.
sense for like Fortnite skins or like CS:GO. Like CS:GO has this huge thing where people are buying and selling CS:GO gun skins for like hundreds of thousands of dollars
What?
already. Yeah, because they'll have rare skins, right? Um, and people are like, "Yo, I want that rare skin." And if you're rich, and $10,000, $20,000 is whatever, you'll just grab that skin, and you'll kind of flex it. People know
But
that this guy's rocking the
that's essentially what an NFT is, then, right?
100%. But it's
Yeah.
in CS:GO, it's like within the game, and the game Steam kind of controls it, whereas an NFT would be outside of the game, and you could trade it outside and on more of an open market.
Yeah.
But yeah, games are definitely trying to get into it more, and gamers hate them. Gamers are like, this is going to break games worse than microtransactions did, which I don't truly see. You know where it's really going to screw people over though? Profile pics.
Yeah,
What?
everyone's getting into a monkey now, right? With the NFTs.
Not even the monkey thing. So like right now, you create an account on any platform, and you can pick your profile pic. It's upload your profile pic, whatever it's
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
What happens when like Twitter is exploring NFT profile pics and stuff? What happens when they say, you know what, to get a profile pic, you need to supply an NFT address. So it has to be a pic that you paid for to
How about
be
a pic
in
that you
there.
created yourself?
But you would still need to like pay for it you have to like register it in the blockchain. So there would still be some sort of cost associated with that, right?
Yeah, but I mean, then they would lose subscribership, and that's Twitter's free, isn't it? Isn't it the
No, I mean, for now it is, but I could see future platforms opting out of not allowing users to upload their user image and saying, not that they have to buy that platform's NFT, but that you have to have like an NFT or your wallet address connected to your account,
That's fine. I'll
where
be
your
the little
NFTs.
under like design or whatever you are on Twitter when you're first on it.
It's just an interesting thing
Yeah,
because
underscore you.
one of the,
Yeah.
but I could definitely see things moving towards that direction where they're gonna start not forcing you, but companies are gonna be like, yeah, let's just use their NFT thing because it'll
Well,
remove that level
I'm
of
going
technology we got to
to.
put on us.
I'm about to
And
start a protest because they're coercing me into buying something and getting something.
it's just an interesting whole thing because like once you have to like supply an actual address and a wallet with funds in it, you kind of give up reveal a portion of your identity, even though you can like pseudonymize it and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people are just like, well, this is the one I bought this
Sodomize
NFT
it?
on.
What?
Pseudonym. I don't know how to say the word, man.
I just
When you're
hear
kind of
sodomize. I don't know.
synonymous,
It's weird. My mind is somewhere else.
man. Look, there's certain words in the English language I just struggle with. Pseudonymize. I'm not trying to say.
What?
Say
Let
Say
me
that
it.
spell
again?
it out.
Sodomize?
Yes.
Yeah, I
I
heard
think you mean
sodomize.
sodomize.
Is that what you're saying, Chinda?
No. So you have a pseudonym. You know what a pseudonym is? I'm saying that word correctly. So
Not sodomize.
a pseudonym.
Let's just make that
No.
clear.
Pseudonym.
No one's sodomizing anybody here.
Yeah. So we understand what pseudonym is. I can say pseudonym, but
You just ignored it
pseudonymize.
completely.
Look,
Just
I can
taking the
say.
moral high ground here.
Listen, let me just
He
try to
said
get
it.
this word out. Hold on. I'm gonna paste this word. You guys say it. Let me see. Let me hear you guys read this word. I don't know how to. It's a pseudonym. This is a pseudonym. Pseudonym eyes, but that's not how you say it. Come
I
on.
don't think that's a word.
That is a word.
Pseudonym is a word.
Yeah, and pseudonymize is a word too. To come on, try and say it.
I just keep saying sodomize when I see that.
Plead the fifth.
Robbie, come on, you got to try it.
I don't even know how to get to the notes, so I'm just gonna.
Boomer.
I got
He's
the
like-
video going, man. It's a
We
win
need to
today
have
for
like
me.
air horns. Beep boop boom. Boomer. Whenever Robbie does something boomerish.
Do you
I
feel
mean,
it? Do
we
you guys
did
feel?
hear
Do you
all
guys
of
feel
it.
your age? You guys feel your age? Seriously?
Sometimes.
My watch
What
says
do you
I'm
mean?
younger. My vitality age is much younger.
Physically,
than
I'm
what I
starting
am.
to feel it. My knees and stuff hurt.
Yo, COVID made me feel old. Like ever since I got it, man. Now I'm feeling like I feel my age. I never used to think I was like older. I'm like, I'm getting there.
How so? Like,
Well, I just compared to my dad. No, you know
what
when I'm like, what age was my dad? What was he doing at this age? And I think back, I'm like, wow, you know,
You're
he
like,
had all
I
this
knew
stuff.
him at this
I feel
age.
old, man. I feel old,
Hmm.
right? I do feel old. Not in a. I think we're in that weird transition period where if you don't keep up with technology or slang or lingo, you can get pretty lost in like a matter of years, right?
This happened to me the other day. Do you guys know what a word cell is?
No, I feel like I just read about it somewhere.
Yeah, I just came across it this week. Word
What is
cell and rotator.
Nope.
Oh, you posted that. I don't know what that is, but word cell. I just read about it like a little while
Explain
ago.
it, Shinda. What is it?
Well, now that you asked me, and I realized that I can't really coherently explain it. It's basically someone who is better with words than science.
Oh,
Like a wordsmith.
Kind of like a wordsmith, but word cell is more of an insult.
word
Like,
savant.
oh, he's a word
Would that
cell.
be?
Like, it's not a compliment when someone calls you a word cell. It's like, oh, he's just very
just
word
sounds
cell.
smart.
Urban Dictionary. I'm reverting to using Urban Dictionary to really help me out here. Word cell.
I think
Urban
that's a
Dictionary.
boomer move. Urban Dictionary, isn't it? Like you got to revert to
The
that's
former
a
of-
boomer move.
What, going to Urban
Uh,
Dictionary?
Urban Dictionary,
Nah,
yeah,
I
100%.
think Urban Dictionary is still pretty legit.
Is it relevant?
So Urban
Yeah.
Dictionary defines word cell as someone who is good with words, people with high verbal ability, and a rotator is basically someone who's more scientifically inclined or mathematically inclined.
I feel old now after hearing these stupid words.
And I was like, this is a weird.
I don't think they're
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, they're pretty dumb. But I remember coming across it and I was like, I guess I'm now. Do I got to add it to my Twitter bio? Like he, him, slash shape rotator? Like, is that the new thing that people do with that?
I have no idea.
No.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But to Robbie's point, I don't think I feel older, but I think older now in the sense that I used to think if people had differing opinions that I should try to learn from them. Now I think you have a different opinion. I have a different opinion, and yours is stupid. So,
Oh,
So you're saying you're less open to ulterior alternative ideas.
I mean,
no,
I will. I still have the ability to put myself in somebody else's shoes, understand their argument, but if I don't feel it's right, I'll still just think it's stupid and think you're stupid.
Hold on,
I think
shouldn't it be the opposite as you age?
I'm much more
No,
accepting of. I think I'm much more accepting of people not agreeing with me. You know, when someone
I
didn't
mean,
agree with you, you would
I'm
fight that to the
okay.
end, right? Yeah, I'm
I'm
okay with them not
okay with
agreeing.
people not agreeing with
Yeah,
me. Yes,
that's a new
yes.
Yeah,
one for
well,
me. So
okay, so I guess I'm the opposite. Not, no, maybe I think I'm the same then. Because if someone disagrees with me, I'm like, Jello, you have every right to that, but you're also a fudu for thinking that,
Yes. Boom, kudu for thinking that way.
right? And there's so many people in my like timeline and in my world where I'm just kind of like, see something, I'm like, huh, puta fudu.
Yeah, but I enjoy telling them now.
But I don't really tell anyone. I'm just like, I just nod my head at it. I'm like, huh. It's like an internal thing. Sometimes I want to verbalize it, but I'm like, I don't want to explain why I think you're a fudu. And then I've also accepted that many people probably think I'm a fudu. So that's where I rationalize it is I'm probably a fudu to a lot of people.
Yeah, I am probably too, but who gives a shit?
And that's why we get along. Three
Yeah.
fudus and a mic.
New name for the pod.
new name.
I remember
Or
being told that
the
fudu was
title
like
of
a
my sex
super
tape? No,
derogatory.
no.
Gotta be careful, man. You never know what trouble we're gonna get into. But
Yeah.
like talking to, like on the whole thing of people disagreeing with you, Joe Rogan kind of got in big controversy over this week. He issued an apology. Spotify had a few artists pissed off at him, saying pick us or Joe Rogan. They picked Joe Rogan, obviously. Neil Young. There was like two other artists. They said, "Well, we're done. We're out." They
So
got off the platform, got their catalog off the platform. Joe
yeah.
Rogan's whole thing in his apology video was, listen, I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to do things. I'm just trying to speak with people of, high popularity who have differing opinions because I want to hear them out and, really engage with what people have to say. That way we can all learn from each other. And I don't want just the same old people. I'm looking for people who might disagree with the status quo. And he's like, I'm not trying to offend you. I love all these artists and stuff. I'm not trying to be a shit disturber. And for the most part, it was a pretty decent, honorable type thing because, who doesn't want to be open minded and talk to people of differing opinions, even if we think they're fudus. But
Do you
Joe
think? Do you
Rogan was
think?
kind of like,
Do you think Spotify made him do that? And I'm asking this because when we ended the show last week, we touched on this very lightly, and you guys said, "Don't worry, you won't ever get canceled because look at what Joe Rogan did, and Spotify didn't cancel him." So I'm asking you now a week later, do you think Spotify told him he had to do that
I think Spotify suggested it, yes.
because they lost bare money? Robbie, bare
Did they?
means a lot.
I know. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
But yeah, they lost a lot of money. So
Did they? Did they lose the money? I mean, to
they
be
were
How much
honest,
like,
money did they lose?
look,
I don't know how much they
most of
lost.
most of Neil is it Neil Young, right? That's the
Yeah.
yeah.
artist. No, most of his listeners don't have Spotify. Let's be honest. So a lot of and Jody Mitchell, I think, was the other one. But it's setting a precedence. If more and more artists are speaking up, then yes, it can be a huge loss of revenue from that
Protest with
perspective.
their wallet,
Protests,
yeah.
fair enough. But I think with Joe Rogan, what he sometimes fails to realize is that yes, I think his intention is to, when he does speak, is just to have conversations. But with any kind of platform or followers, the amount of followers he has the ability to sway their thoughts. And a lot of his listeners really, really kind of dive into, like, he has Alex Jones on, right?
Yeah.
And that guy is just out in outer space, but he'll say things that some of that listenership will agree to.
Like the Sandy
And
Hook thing. And
yeah, like, it's like, why even give that guy even more of a platform? But Joe Rogan's like, oh, he's my friend. So you're
yeah.
really
And he's
not,
like, look, man, I remember with the Alex Jones in particular, he was kind of like, well, I'm just putting him on so you guys could realize how cookie and how much he doesn't even consider him, how seriously he doesn't take himself.
I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's like, when you see, people trying to give it financial advice will say, "Oh, this is not real financial advice," or the
Yeah,
views expressed by blah 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 don't express the express views of this company. He doesn't have to do that, and the podcast is that space where no one really does that. So, um, if you see what happened to Whoopi Goldberg this week, you know,
no, I don't know what
uh,
happened.
well, she said the Holocaust was not about race, and she's been suspended for 2 weeks for saying that. But like something like that, your words do matter, or what you speak
Mm.
about does matter, especially if your platform is there. So he's on this major platform. That's why I think is it 200 doctors that wrote a letter against him, or there's
I
I
mean,
some
look,
there's
don't.
some
he has people taking like horse tranquilizer and shit like that, right? So
yeah.
what he says matters. I mean, everybody thinks ivermectin is like a cure. I don't know, like
I mean, we have to look at
he-
Trump. He's the greatest example of saying a few things and people just
Run with them.
yeah,
digesting it
people are
and running with
drinking.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
what was it? Purell? No,
Uh,
what was something silly? He
Was it
yeah,
he
bleach?
something bleach,
bleach,
bleach.
bleach.
Bleach. Yeah, people drinking bleach, thinking, and they're like, "Why don't we have peer-reviewed journals on people drinking bleach?" The medical community is trying to suppress this magical
This
antidote.
cheap solution that we can get at Walmart and cure the whole
Yeah,
world.
And I think people think Joe Rogan's a dumb guy. He's not dumb. He's an extremely
no,
intelligent person. His capacity for memory or to discuss a topic, he's very intelligent. So he knows what he's doing. He might have apologized, but he got paid by
apologies so
doing what
much
he
as
does.
I'm gonna try doing better. Like I'm gonna try bringing in more sides around an argument, not just one.
But
He's like, I'll try to bring in both sides of like a
And that's
debate.
fair, yeah. He's like,
yeah,
yo,
yeah,
if I know I'm putting up something that's really controversial, then I'll get hosts from
Or yeah,
both
I'll bring in
sides,
from
yeah, or
yeah.
guests from both sides, right? So
And
that's cool.
that's one of the criticisms I actually read about him. They're like, look, him having one of the doctors on who researched COVID or whatever. It was cool that he had him. We appreciate that. That conversation should be had. It's noted that that doctor is really published and he's renowned in the space. But they're like, Joe Rogan went so light on some of that guy's statements and critiques that it comes across as, these facts are unchallenged or whatever. And he's like, it makes what that guy's saying so much more impactful than it needs to be because someone's not challenging certain aspects of it. And they're like, Joe Rogan isn't always that guy to be challenging these people
I mean,
because he doesn't know
like,
enough to challenge them.
and that's the thing. He doesn't. He kind of doesn't have a line which he doesn't cross in terms of his topics, right? Like he'll just
Yeah.
like why are we giving health advice on Joe Rogan podcast? That's the
Well,
whole
I think that
argument,
was
right? That's the
Bill
whole
Burr's.
argument. That people are not. Yeah, Bill Burr ripped him for that. He goes, "I'm not going to listen to a meathead like you tell me about my health." And it's the most common sense approach, but a lot of his listenership.
Yo,
Isn't that smart?
yeah,
People I talk to at work have told me, "Oh, Joe Rogan said this. Joe Rogan said that." I'm like,
dude.
"Wow."
People
He's
come
not
to
a
you like
doctor.
he got the inventor of mRNA on his show to talk about
Yeah,
why mRNA is bad. It's like, dude, mRNA is something that's developed by a bunch of universities over like decades. Who's the
yeah.
one person who found it?
Yeah, but he does have that pull where people will consider him like the de facto truth on things because he's digging. He's always searching for the truth.
He's a good interviewer.
But,
That's about it.
but people,
He has like a general curiosity, and like that's like a hallmark of a good interviewer.
He's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
That's
So I
what
mean,
it is.
I used to listen to Rogan a lot for a few years, and then after a while, really getting he started getting really repetitive because it always came down to, have you tried ayahuasca?
Yeah,
Have you
Yeah. What drugs have you
all
tried?
conversations would like delve into like, did you ever do acid? You really need to try it. Like they would always delve into like this repetitive
and
pattern
he repeats
that after a
a
long
lot of his
time
stories.
became,
Yeah,
and the stories became very repetitive. And I noticed he started cutting off a lot of people. Like he does introduce me to still a lot of people. Um, but the
but to
ones I enjoyed the most were his conversations with other comedians, like stories about the comedy club or him and Joey Diaz, and that's the ones I
yeah,
enjoyed. The ones that became really too technical, I'm like, I don't have the patience, or
and those are more
because
genuine. Those are more genuine too about the comedy. But I mean, look, are we surprised? People like what was that guy on? Who's the guy on Fox News? Tucker.
Tucker,
Yeah.
yeah,
Tucker. He has a huge followership. Uh, what the Trump guys? Sean Hannity, huge followership. Who's it? Rush Limbaugh. These guys are followed and loved, and they do the exact same thing Joe Rogan does. But I think Joe
Yeah.
Rogan is just on a larger
And he
volume.
gets a different audience, a younger audience.
Yeah, and so he's the new version of that, right? So
But I don't think he's trying to be those guys either. Like he's not trying to purposely sometimes speak about these things. I think he hits a lot of
it's not that. It's if you insinuate, research studies are flawed.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some might be, but then you kind of are now, insinuating or planting the seed in a young person's mind that everything is flawed. Anything that
Mm,
comes out is wrong, or the media is always against. Like it's building a culture of mistrust, and
yeah.
that to me is when I watch it or hear it, and I look at these protests that are going on in Canada are the exact same kind of.
But when we talk about mistrust, right? The media definitely has a role in this.
Yeah,
Like when the CBC and them are like,
here's the one thing, Shandon, right? Like, look, we're all educated, fine. I don't think it was my university education that makes me realize that the newspaper is a business, and
yeah,
that the newspaper is going to need viewership to attain some revenue, and they get that by headlines and stories and narratives and so on and so forth. So when they go, they lie. Don't you take all news with like a grain of salt? We've talked about this, right?
Exactly.
Like
We talked about this. Yeah.
there's a
you're right.
storyline,
But at
and
the same time, I recognize that there's a lot of people who mistrust general media, mainstream media, for lack of a
they,
better
but
way to describe it,
they're
because
the
they're
same
like,
people. They're the same people who will mistrust what's right in front of them from science and go listen to a bubba, right? Like I
yeah,
Yeah.
meet these kind of people all the time, and you're just kind of like, there's no helping you.
Or
If you
or they'll
if
believe a
you haven't,
WhatsApp forward,
yes,
and they can't rely or tell you what the source is, but it makes sense with what they want to make sense. So they'll
exactly,
believe that.
right? So there's I always get this, oh, doctors overprescribe, and you guys are just part of big pharma, and I always start
Oh
laughing.
yeah, you're big
I don't
pharma.
big pharma, right? So, but it's like, well, you haven't taken X, Y, Z, and the results are now that you're sick.
yeah,
Simple. There's nothing. I haven't done anything, right? And it's not fixing itself. So the reality is you're sick. That's the problem. And you'll get a lot of people um, who don't want to believe. One, they don't want to hear that. Who wants to hear that they're sick? Uh, Two, that they have to change everything about themselves to get themselves better, such as their lifestyle, diet, and third, take a medication that they don't trust from a big company.
You should
So
tell them to go take their Ayurvedic
so
pills.
that's natural. That's going to help me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, in
Get
our
blind and then come back to it.
yeah, in our community, that stems from and I tell this amongst friends and family, and I always talk about this. We have some weird cultural aspect that we need to always believe in something that doesn't exist, higher power, right? That something a human gives you that just makes sense in science and will work isn't enough. There has to be a higher power involved, right? That a Baba has to bless you, or this, that, and it kind of goes into everything, man. If you try to convince someone, simple, like, hey, you're diabetic, you gotta let's control this. It's a thousand excuses they send back at you for the reason why they're diabetic, or the test is wrong, or the medications don't work, and it's just like, get healthy, man. It's no Bubba's gonna help you. But then they'll fly to India and get 1,000 treatments, and then tell me how much better it was. When you're kind of like, okay, what can you say? What do you say to that person? You just hope that they're better, and you try to help them on their journey. But sometimes people can't be convinced, and that's
or
just the
people
reality.
want to go to something external that they're like, this is the real thing.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, like
here's the thing that with medicine that people have, I've noticed why people start distrusting regular medicine is because they don't get like the trial and error, the diagnostic phase of it,
well, that's
right?
what a clinical study's for, right? I mean, you
So they're like,
hope.
look, you're telling me to do this medicine first and it didn't work. Now you're putting me on this medicine and I'm paying this much money. They want someone to say, this is exactly what you have. Here's how you solve it. They
And
don't
that
like the,
and the reality is that's not science, right?
yeah,
Science itself, in essence, is trial and error. Uh, Medicine is trial and error. There's not a definite. Why would we need
So
doctors with clinic? Why would you need a doctor with clinical judgment, or professional? If it was just, hey, you've been diagnosed with this. This algorithm is telling you to take this medication and you're better, because
yeah,
there's no one answer, and you need
so
that one
on the
person
same
to.
vein
Yeah.
or thread, uh, all this protesting against vaccines and whatnot, do you take it as an attack on science? Is that like the basis of it?
No, no. Look, I think I mentioned this in the first one since we've been back. Is that it's the misinformation. It's the way the information has been kind of. If I was taking any medication, I wouldn't want to know what it's for. Why am I taking it? How is it going to help? What's the research? And they could have given all that in a more clear, concise manner. And I think a lot of the thing is misinformation from everywhere, not just third party sources, but the way the government maybe has given it to us. But yeah, as time goes on, and like I said, as Joe Rogan does, plant seeds, it's turned into anti-science. It has turned into I'm probably off track, but I was reading today in the news that they were telling the healthcare workers to not identify themselves tomorrow.
Yeah, in the Toronto
In
protests,
down,
yeah.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
leaving downtown Toronto right now. It's barricaded. When I came left
yeah.
work, it was
So because
barricaded.
they're like,
University.
they're scared that the healthcare workers. Now, I get you're not vaccine. You don't want to get you're anti-vaccination, but even the protests.
Stupid idiots.
Well, whatever. I mean, but remember they were protesting. Was it a few months ago, or was it early in the last year, where they were in front of the hospitals again?
Yeah, the hospital stuff really irked me. Like,
But
look,
what's
go in front of
what,
Queen's
what
Park or
no,
something.
but why the hospitals? What's the message there?
The doctors are lying to us.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, but when you
they're
get sick,
lying,
where do you run?
pushing an
They were legit
agenda.
saying they
It's
were saying
anti-science,
that the
right?
ICUs were not filled with COVID patients. It's a myth. The numbers do not add up. Was their main
I
thing.
mean, look, the
You guys are
reality
pushing these
is
numbers for money.
reality is we live in a nation that gets taxed. The taxes are mishandled or not used efficiently, and our healthcare system suffers for it. And that's the protection kind of thought. It's not against. No one's lying. What's the purpose of lying?
I mean, I feel like there's like governments lie all the time. Let's be real. Governments are always spinning their
Yeah.
webs, and they pick their sides, and they know what side's going to get them elected, and then they agree and push certain narratives that better them, right? In terms of like, I don't know if it's really in terms of this, but like you see this hypocrisy all the time where some of these conservatives, when it was like the natives blockading roads and stuff, saying this is outrageous, we need to really put an end to this. The pipeline must be built. There's no reason that this should stop us from doing business and all that, and it's disrupting certain people's way of lives. It's that arrest them this minute, and then a whole different voting bloc is doing what they condemned earlier. Now they're like, no, 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 this is a peaceful protest. If there's ever been one, we need to rally around this. We really need to listen. And the way politicians change what they want and push what they want depending on who their bloc is, I think confuses and really
Well,
messes with how
they're in it
people.
for their paycheck, right?
Yeah.
They're just trying to stay in their power, in the seat of power.
So,
But
well, does it work? I mean, last week I was
100% it
alluding
works.
to Ananda on the face of conservatives. Yeah, who were like pushing and like really going with this protest, and it says going to be on their face.
And
What ended up happening, guys? I mean,
Erin O'Toole voted out by
Erin
his
O'Toole.
party.
yeah,
How great is the
over
Reform Act? 79
79. That's crazy.
out of 114 or something. Whatever the number was. It was a pretty
it was
vast majority.
73-45 or what I saw, but more or
Yeah.
less, yeah.
It was
Yeah,
an insane number. He had no real. He lost the full confidence of, most people there. It's insane. Did you guys know about the Reform Act within parties? Only the conservatives have it. Only the conservatives have it.
Is it the first time it's been used?
I think so, yeah.
That's crazy.
It was just brought into policy during their last policy convention, their last convention or something, or one prior.
So is it?
But they're the only party that's adopted it.
Is he too centrist? Is that the idea? Like, why have they gone against him?
This party is so fractured. All right, this is my take on it. This party is so fractured. Harper was a G. He like gave everybody shit that and kept everybody in check. They were actually everybody was under one tent in his day. After he left, it was a free reign. You have like these social conservatives, and then you have more center-leaning conservatives, and the party's completely fractured. They have no identity internally, and that's their biggest freaking issue. they don't know if they're gonna be, red Tories essentially, or if they're gonna be, Bible thumping, anti-abortion, uh,
Conversion therapy wanting.
conversion
Conversion therapy.
therapy guys.
Yeah.
So that's that. Aaron O'Toole, he's a lawyer, so obviously he's much smarter than you guys. When- So, I feel for the guy. I mean, he probably inherited this party and was like, I can probably bring everybody together, but he couldn't. He couldn't appease the far right of his party. And he tried to. I mean, there's reports coming out that what's her face, this lady that just took over Bergen. Is
Yeah.
that, am I saying her
Yeah,
name
the
right?
interterm.
Virgin,
Okay,
I
yeah.
think.
Bergen, yeah. Uh,
Brishan.
Bergen, the MP from Manitoba. She was the one who was like pushing him to go and meet with the convoy, and like that's her agenda, that's her side of the party, saying, we gotta endorse these guys, like
So
fuck
it's
it,
kind of
old stock Canadians.
so like
But are they?
conservatives have always been this weird party, right? Because they've always been. You have the progressive conservative, is what they've kind of branded it. The Canadian Conservative Party of Canada, and then in Ontario, the progressive. They really want to kind of hint at the progressiveness of the party because it's usually like the party fractures all the time. It used to be the Reform, and then it became thing, and then Harper kind of brought the Reform side in with him and merged it under one banner. And like now we have like the PPC going opposite, and the PPC, it was Berjan, like the current leader. I should really learn how to say her name. Was it whatever? I'm not. It's not worth my time to figure out her name. But her riding was one of the ones where the PPC had the greatest impact and stole the most votes, right? So trying to like wrap that and get that back, she's like, look, I need to be able to politic and lobby from this thing. Because at the end of the day, it comes down not to what they really believe. It comes down to what will get her elected and keep her paycheck week to week. So I think
From a party standpoint, from a tactical standpoint, for them to lean right is not going to win them the election.
But
Right, I mean-
what gets them funding from the Albertas and their core base that actually donates, right? So that's why
Yeah,
when
but I mean,
with
like, okay,
O'Toole,
so if let's say they do now get their funding and it starts to become, they got to get back into the conversion therapy conversations and the abortion.
yeah, that hurts them.
Like, and they start doing that. I think they're going to lose a majority of Canadians.
100%, they lose
And
Ontario.
it's all, and then it becomes Justin's election to lose again. He's
Yep,
already
100%.
hated pretty much, but if his opposition is even worse, I mean,
Yeah,
Unless
and
they're
all the
two evils.
NDP votes will go to Liberals because nobody
Yeah.
wants to like get these
They don't want to
conservatives.
risk a Conservative
Yeah,
Party,
yeah.
and it hurts the NDP huge. But no, that's the problem the Conservatives have always had with identity, because you have the hard SOCONs, the social conservatives, who want to, outlaw everything that's not Christian, and they want to be they want to be God's party. And then you have like the more progressive conservatives who are more fiscally conservative, and they're like, look, we need laws that best reflect businesses and sort that kind of stuff out.
So
And I think
I mean,
they've always, like O'Toole, when he ran for leader, really tried to appeal to that SOCON base, saying, I'm going to be for you guys, as opposed to McKay, who was kind of like, well, McKay's, he's a progressive conservative. He's in it for the money. He's not in it for the social values and stuff. And then as soon as O'Toole won leadership, he's like switched it up, saying, and in his closing remarks, he said, look, if you want to get elected, you got to know what Canada wants, not just what the
Yeah.
party wants.
You got to move to the center.
You got to
That's
move to the
exactly
center
it.
if you. And so I think the Conservative Party right now is very much in charge and wants to be very right. And like you said, I think that's going to bite them in the ass in ways that.
You know what? They need it
What do
though to grow up, to figure out what
They-
the hell they are. They need this like
they got to blow up
prepared-
the team. They got to
yeah,
blow up
they,
the
they
team.
need
They
this.
got to
They
rebuild.
need this.
Need a rebuild.
Yeah. Let them.
Or
let
it's like
them hard
Nas says,
right,
right? Destroy and rebuild. They got to burn it down. Like the SOCONs need to lose so bad that they realize,
that they're
okay, we're
gotta
now
bring
back to
back-
the
they're
minivan party.
relics. They're relics.
They got to bring back Harper as a coach and rebuild.
Well,
That's what they
that's
need.
another thing about party politics that people don't realize is Harper hasn't really left the party. Harper's always tried to keep his hand in the party, and if he's losing grip of it, he's going to try pushing his people to. Like, there's this backhanded manipulation going on in all parties, not just the Conservatives. The NDP have it, the Liberals have had it, where there's
But
like
who,
these old stock leaders who want to control and their camps want to maintain control over who's in power and who can lead the party, right? So there's a lot of that goes on.
Who do you guys think? Who do you think is their leader? Who has a shot? Like that Pierre guy
I
is.
honestly don't know.
I think everybody has Pierre. I'd like to see Patrick Brown someday be the leader, but I would, if I was in his ear, I would tell him, "Yo, skip
Sit
this
this
next
one out.
election. Yeah,
Skip this one,
let
yeah.
this party self-destruct and then go in.
You come in as the new phase to rebuild.
Yeah, to
You know,
rebuild.
you know their fee to actually run is like crazy expensive. Do you know how much it is? How much do you think it is?
About 50
100,000.
or 100, 50 or 100.
300K into the race.
Holy
I mean, a
shit.
lot of it's
And so
donated by your side, right? Like you're not
No, well,
personally putting that up.
they're saying it's the barrier to entry. So a lot of these guys that are
Yeah.
talking that are gonna acting like they are gonna be the leader, they won't get there because they just can't even pay the fee. So
I mean,
like,
the
McKay's
same goes
rich,
for the
McKay's a
candidates,
lawyer.
right?
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, to be a candidate for the Conservative Party, I think it was 25,000 that you had to put in just to be a
Wow.
candidate, even if you were. That's a candidate to run, not to be, but to like.
And
and
I
the
was
way it's
also
done is
hearing
like you got to
on.
fundraise it, and it gets
I was-
very like slimy sometimes as to how they try to like push it.
Yeah,
like,
so I was-
I'll tell them
I
to
was
get you the
listening to this-
donations or whatever.
I was listening to this talk show, Talk 10 or whatever, and they were saying they had some guests on. He was essentially saying that this election is more for like the advisors and the people in the background because they're all going to get paid, right? So
Yeah.
every time you have a leadership thing, all the consultants are all getting paid money for like
Yeah,
6 months of work.
100%.
So the election is really for them, right? Like they're in the ears of all these MPs saying, yeah, vote them out, vote them
You
out,
should
vote
run.
them out, because a lot of money to be made now, right? It's another race.
Yeah, fair
Otherwise,
enough.
they'd be sitting around doing nothing. So everyone's trying to get paid. It's all a game.
But like
right?
that 300,000, a lot of it's like, how do you have a network that can hook you up with 300,000? And if you don't belong at the party lead.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has to be. I'm sure it has to be personal though. It can't be donations.
Oh, for
No,
sure.
no.
Donations, man.
It's all
Yeah.
donations.
It's
Yeah.
donations,
It's all
okay.
no politician is. They spend very little out of their own pocket when they can avoid it.
You know, Pierre's
A good
never done
politician.
anything else. You know, Pierre's never done anything else. That's my.
I
gripe
didn't
with him.
realize that. I
He
learned
literally
that
hasn't been
he
in
was one of the
politics
youngest MPs.
He doesn't do
Yeah.
nothing. The way this man talks, like I look, his speaking ability is good.
He's a great
But the
orator.
confidence the way he speaks is like he knows everything. I'm like, this guy's never worked any other job. This is all he's ever done. You know,
I
what
mean,
do you
that's
know
true for a
about-
few politicians.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's just the way you start to believe him. Yeah, you're like, this guy must
Like, I'm not
know
trying to
everything.
bash Jagmeet here, but Jagmeet wasn't a lawyer for very long, right? Before he became a politician. He was a very young politician, too.
Yeah, but he did something. He became a lawyer. Like in my head, like that's still,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
And
Automatic.
takes
it's
more
not just
hard work
confined to
than winning
Jagmeet.
election.
And like Trudeau, how much past life experience did he have before he became PM? Like Scheer had
He's
the
a
same
makeup.
thing. Right?
He was a makeup artist. He was a makeup artist.
Fair.
Let's not
Like
forget
Scheer
that.
literally worked.
He's a teacher.
He's a makeup artist and a good one at that. Did you see that? Did you see his pictures?
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean, Scheer was he was basically a
She was
clerk,
an
a secretary.
he
at an
was
insurance
an
company?
insurance. He worked for one day. He put it on his resume, and he was there for like a week or something like that. And he got called out.
It's
on it the
another
last
career
election.
politician, right? Like another
Yeah.
career politician. I think the era of having like a 6-year-old who has like ran a company. Paul Martin ran a company before he got into politics, right? Like he had that.
Yeah, he got given
business
to him, but he
thing, I mean-
he still ran it. Yeah.
He still ran it. I don't know what Harper's background is, but again, he
he's
seemed
an
like
economist.
he just seemed like he's
Harper
an
is the
older
greatest
fellow.
thing in Canada.
He's had something behind him. Like we're done with the old politicians now. It's kind of
just like I just if a guy wants to be leader, I just want him to have something
Real life
different.
experience.
That's just me personally. Like no, not so much that he has to have the expertise, but he has the ability to make decisions outside of the spectrum of politics. If he's always making decisions about his own seat, that scares me.
then,
right? Like there
then
has
he
to be
just
some
knows how to
decisions.
manipulate them.
Yeah,
Well, decisions that like Trump would be one of those guys that always made decisions based on how he's going to look. There are decisions that are made that we don't see or we're not privy to. Matters of defense. Yeah, I don't want someone who's kind of inexperienced of making a real decision. So
All right.
I'm not
But-
crazy about this trend that's especially in our community, man, of 20-somethings jumping into politics.
usually
They literally
lawyers.
finish-
Usually lawyers. Let me just put that out there.
Yeah,
Usually
lawyers
lawyer.
really like it.
Usually lawyers,
Then
man. It's just
they're much smarter than. Yeah, actually, to be honest, like
I think I'm done with lawyers
it's
and thing.
I know,
yeah,
man.
Football.
I'm done
I
with
want to
lawyers
see.
being politicians too.
I want to
Let these
see.
fuckers work. Like come to private practice, okay? And do it for 10, 15 years and then go into politics.
But, did you guys see the O'Toole thing coming? Because I know Ranju alluded to like under their face. I didn't think O'Toole would be voted out this early. I thought the party would want to
No,
like.
man. They prison shanked him, man. That's what they did. They shanked him in the yard, right to his face.
It was very
70
Julius
some.
Caesar.
Yeah, Brutus, not to the back, but to his face. So it's
Listen,
An unforgiving profession that way.
it was so obvious that anybody who puts their eggs in the same basket as these protesters, which like call it what it is, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They're
Say it. They're footloose.
extremists and they're fudus, okay? And it's not just the organizers and the people in there. Like, it is what it is. They're a bunch of nationalists that believe in old stock Canadians. If you're going to put yourself in that camp as a politician, you're going to put yourself in a very tight corner. And how do you walk out of that? You either embrace it, go down with the ship, or you realize it's really fucked up, and then you need to jump ship. And as soon as you jump ship, you're going to get destroyed. Either way, it's a lose-lose situation. So, I mean, the best thing to do is like pull a Dougler and be quiet about it. Like Dougler doesn't say anything about it, right? Hey, he doesn't condemn them. He doesn't stroke them off either, right? He's just all quiet.
No, he did put out a
exactly
statement.
Harper was a master of that too. Remember, Harper was like, we're talking about how Harper was calm thing. He had the terrorist hotline going at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's not like we didn't call him and say, oh, he's racist, he's this and that. But
I mean, Harper
He
did
was-
the Niqab ban too, right? That was
but
the one
look how
that
sly
really
he
hurt
did
him
it,
at the
man.
end. No, but that was the one that everyone was like, hold up.
I
We
don't
see
know.
what
I
you're
think
trying to
people
do
were
here.
just sick of him, man. I just think people were just
At that time, I think that was one of the
Yeah.
big things that kind of brought Harper down. But do you think it was the right move? Like, do you think the party needed to take out O'Toole?
I think it's another case of conservatives shooting themselves in the foot.
You know what it
And
is?
then-
I really want to be a conservative. Like, I generally, like, when I think about what they're actually, like, man, that actually, the older I get, that sounds like me, but it's like, man, look at the representation. It's just like, no.
That's kind of where I get all the time. I have so
know?
many values, especially financially, which I'm like,
Yes.
I agree with conservative policies a lot of times. But then you guys put me in the same boat as like the Candice Malcolms and the Doc Corgis and, the Ezra Levants. And then I'm like, fuck. Do I really want to be in the
But
same
here's the question. What
voting
happens
base as
if,
Tarek Fatah and
what if,
shit?
what if the Liberal Party now starts leaning even more left? What happens then?
They don't need to. They always have
I-
NDP out there. They won't do that.
I don't know, man. Some of the policy is just like, what are you doing, right? Like, it's like,
Like I honestly
we're
think the Liberal
centered.
Party
We're
doesn't
centered.
understand stuff. So I'm always confused. Like I always wanted to vote conservative, and every time, right before the election gets called, or the vote day to vote happens, they just like shoot themselves and say, "Don't vote for me." Like they put a big banner, "Don't vote for us," and I'm like, "Oh man, you idiots! You guys were doing so good up until this." And honestly, I don't know if this is a negative way of spinning it. The last few times I've voted Jagmeet because I'm like, look, it appeases my conscience. I'm not voting for like that white stock conservative, even if it's at my peril fiscally sometimes. And then at the same time, I'm like, well, honestly, I don't think he's gonna win. So rather than burning a vote, at least it went somewhere
Protest
positive.
vote. So your
It's
NDP
kind of a
vote is
protest vote.
Yeah,
To a degree.
that's exactly
Yeah, I
what it
think
is.
that's true.
Yeah,
And I
you
think the
vote-
NDP should capture more of them. I think NDP should just straight be
yeah,
like,
it will be your protest vote.
yeah, just give us your protest votes. And I don't say that to disparage anyone, but that's kind of where it comes because a lot of times I don't really agree with much of their policies. Like there's certain things I do think like dental insurance everyone should get, but I don't like the liberals and I have a hard time voting for conservatives. So by process of elimination, I guess you guys get this vote.
Yeah,
How about the
well,
block? For the block.
I mean, the
They
block's
don't-
not even on our ballots.
yeah. If
The
they were,
block's not.
they
Bill
have the
C-21. Let's just
they
vote you guys
have
in.
best federal leader as far as charisma. And
No, that guy's
like,
too much, man. No,
Oh
that
man,
guy.
he is so good. Do you see him in the last debate just for the
Yeah,
election?
yeah.
He was
The
so
best. He
good.
doesn't give a shit. That's the best thing about him.
It's
He goes,
I mean, he doesn't
everybody's
need to
talking
give a
about-
shit.
The best
He's
is
in charge
he's
of one
talking about
province.
honestly, they're talking about Canada. He goes, well, I don't care about Canada. I'm talking about Quebec. I'm going to talk to Quebec right now.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's a G, right? But at
Yeah,
the
I
same
know
time,
it
you're
is.
kind of like,
I would
You
love
kind of
for him
like
to be my leader if he was just not so cracked out.
I think Punjabi leaders need to take a page out of his book, though.
I think
Yeah,
all Punjabi
Like,
leaders, yeah,
they're
need to
like,
take a step
screw
back.
you. We only care about Punjab.
well, if there was a leader who had his, I guess, cavalier approach to things, I think he'd be endearing to a lot of people, man.
I
He is so
mean,
cavalier. I mean,
okay, fair enough. I don't
Trudeau,
disagree with that.
Trudeau with the
Trudeau
blackface,
just
with the
Trudeau's
blackface thing.
so
Punjabis don't
It,
man.
it,
understand.
it
Punjabis
was
don't
brown
understand how
face.
that's
It was brown.
racist. Okay,
You know why they don't
Yeah.
understand it's not racist? Because in our own
This-
movies, everyone's still doing the same thing.
we do that shit as normal.
We do that in our own movies. So why?
Yeah, like
Like,
creatively,
So, so if he
Punjabi
owned
bane hoye
it,
ase.
if he owned it, it was like, yo, that wasn't racist
I don't
back
understand
then.
how it's more of a
Who
big deal
cares?
sometimes, but I honestly just can't stand. I've never been able to stand Trudeau. Even the first election he ran, and I was helping out on a liberal campaign. I was watching the debates. I'm like, why do we have this? Like, I'm not trying to. He just like stumbled and stuttered, and then he couldn't put a coherent thought together.
He gets a pass in our consciousness because of his father, right? We assume
Yeah,
because he
he's
has
gonna do good things.
the
But
well,
the
no,
more
his
he's
name
governed, the less
that
I
he
think he
automatic.
knows about life.
Well, everybody calls him a drama teacher, right? So that's their always way.
Like it's so. I wonder if that bugs him. Like, you think it bugs him when people call him a drama teacher?
No,
Like,
man, he's the prime minister of Canada. Why would it bug him? He's like,
I
He
mean,
and
actually,
egos.
he does have chops. Okay, like he was on a university debate team. That's not easy to do.
I
He
don't know.
wasn't
I
such.
agree. Maybe he's high intelligent. I just never liked the guy. From like, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not like stepping over myself. Like, was there a time that I kind of, blew hot air up his ass? And there probably was to a degree,
Yeah,
but
like the
against
time you're
Harper,
at like Power Rate Center for that huge rally.
no, I didn't
That
go to that.
records.
I avoided most rallies. If I was at a rally, I was outside because they were too crowded inside.
Yeah, I think we were all there.
I was mostly an outside rally guy just to make sure that as an organizer, but I never got it. I hate confined spaces, so I always avoided going inside.
I think when
And
he
they'd
was
always
elected,
they'd make them so tight. They're like, look, we could do this in a four room hall, but we're gonna stuff everyone in a one room thing just so that it looks like it's more packed. Fuck, you
pre-COVID, man,
guys suck.
pre-COVID, those were the days.
Yeah, seriously. I
Capacity's
watch movies
500.
and I
Let's get
wonder
7.
where's all the masks. And there's so many people in a room.
I mean, that's where I get divided, right? Especially with these protests. I think a lot of the policies that we've had governments put in place are overreach. I think they're not grounded in science sometimes. And I think they're just kind of doing something for the sake of doing something. Like shutting down gyms. Gyms were not a hotbed of like spreading COVID, especially once you had the passport in place, right? Like, why do we have the passport and now we're limiting who can go, like closing the gyms down with the passport or going to restaurants with the passport?
Well, I just think it's spots where there's a higher rate of infection
Yeah,
or
look,
possibility.
look.
I'm not like let's just take it as that you're on a treadmill breathing,
Yeah, but at
out
the
of
same
breath.
time, they're like
Lockdown
everyone's
came
vaccinated while they're in, and
this last
But they're not gonna wear
lockdown came
masks.
in at a time when hospital admissions were so high. People didn't
Yeah,
need to go to the hospital, but they felt COVID symptoms and they're tripping out that I'm going to have, chest problems and a tube. They all showed up to the hospital. So it wasn't because everybody's like, oh, fuck, like COVID is really bad and we need to lock things down to stop the transmission. It's the hospitals can't
yeah, no, they.
handle non-COVID cases. They're losing capacity. How do we stop
Well, I
that?
get the capacity
Stop
thing. I
moving
just feel
people.
like there wasn't the evidence that gyms or uh, eating out were the places where people were really spreading and moving this thing around. I felt like that part was a very
I think it
broad
was.
stroke.
I think my view of that is just shutting down places where people can congregate a large
Yeah.
number. Gyms, banquet halls, parties, concerts.
Yeah.
From a
Yeah.
simplistic, doesn't that make sense? Like you have too many people
I
in
mean,
one
but
spot.
I
We
felt
want
like
to
they were
limit it.
just trying to go. But at the same time, how do gyms make money? How do like? I don't know. I just felt like they took a really broad hammer when they've had so much time to make this
And the
thing even more fine tuned.
shutting these things down without giving a financial support is a legit criticism. But shutting them down in itself is not a fair criticism. They had to do something on the disease side, right? So fuck, like they shut them down. They should have given financial support. That then the world is hunky dory. But you
No,
can't say they were wrong to do it. There's even on a political level.
Well, I'm
For
thinking the
them
wrong
not doing
doing is
anything, for them not doing anything, they would have looked stupid and would have, pissed off everybody just as bad if they
But you're
let
gonna get that again.
the
Like you do
rates,
that
the
every time
hospital
the
admission.
numbers start going up. You have to like shut everything down. I feel like not that we do need to learn to live with it. I think a lot of jurisdictions are now saying that much very clearly. Like, look, this isn't going away. We're gonna have to find other ways to live with this other than just shutting everything down. But the whole we now have a vaccine passport and we're shutting this down. It's kind of like, well, then why do we need the vaccine passport? And if vaccines aren't really slowing the hospital stuff down, why are we doing both?
But the vaccines are stopping the risk of the severity of infection. They
Severe,
are.
they are. No, I agree. But then
Yeah.
why
So
why
if you're not severe, you're
compile
not going
that
to end
with
up in hospital.
thing, right? Yeah, so you're not
Like
going to end up in hospital. But now, if
yeah.
you're not going to end up in hospital, why shut down the gyms and the restaurants, which only allow vaccinated people to come in?
Yeah, because at
Oh,
the
I see
time
what
they
you mean.
shut
Okay.
down the
You
hospitals
know
and
what I
the
mean?
restaurants, people were showing up to the hospitals in the thousands each
But not
day.
the vaccinated. I don't know. So that's where I start getting really. Hmm, I
I
feel
mean,
like we're not.
I don't go to the gym, so I could care less. So when I
So
hear all
They
these
messed up my
gym
gym.
bros,
They
gym
messed up.
bros are
I was going
crying.
to the gym. I was
Gym
going to
bros
the
are
gym
crying.
prior
I'm
to
like,
that,
well,
and then they cut it, and I was like, well, I guess now I'm not going to the gym, and I haven't been able to go back to the gym since because they opened this week, and I'm like, honestly, I'm just not motivated no more. You guys ruined my rhythm.
yeah,
it's no, it's unfortunate
But
for the
yeah,
business owners. For the business standpoint, yeah, completely agree. It's they need the support. They're
and
obviously
they're not
kind of in
giving
a
that full
bind.
support. Like, and how do you like
But I mean, we're having an
what the
issue
support
now
should
of
be?
like I think there's like as they say, too many chefs in the kitchen. Public health has to have their mandates. It should be one thing. They're not consistent. That's another thing. Every
That's
city or
another yeah.
locality, yeah, they're all different, right? Like for example, when I go to one office, I have a certain set of rules, and the other office I have another. It's so weird. So I agree with you there. It's once again, it's communication, planning, which they're obviously very poor at, but the actual action of reducing spread and reducing areas where people congregate, I have no issues with that.
yeah. Like we had 2 years to deal with COVID, and over that 2 years, there's one message that was consistently clear by every expert with brain cell that we need more doctors and nurses. Are like the beds to fuck all. What the beds don't do shit. They don't treat you. It's
Yep.
the doctors and nurses that treat you, right? We need
Mm-hmm.
more manpower. What do we do? We haven't hired more. We haven't trained more. It's the same old shit. And while largely the blame is on a provincial government because they're the one who run the healthcare in Ontario. I mean, the feds, if they didn't, care about political optics or whatnot, they could have overstepped and pushed the province to do stuff. They could have opened up immigration streams to attract, medical talent. There's things they could have done within their sphere of power, but everybody kind of fucking dropped the ball on this. And
Nobody
this
wants, and
COVID,
nobody wants to pay for it. That's the thing,
That's
right?
the
No one
thing.
wants
No
to
one
take
knows
that.
how to
No
pay
one wants
for
to
it.
pay. And honestly, the general person protesting does not want to pay the tax either, right? And,
yeah,
and if you see the real cost of healthcare, and you actually start sitting down figuring out, well, I was here. Oh, doctors are paid too much, and this is paid too much. I'm like, then break down the cost and see how much it really costs. And yes, there is a lot of money that's wasted. I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that, but you're not going to get a better healthcare system by not paying staff, hiring more people, improving the hospital itself. And then you wonder why in things like a pandemic we're working to save the hospital. I mean, they need to invest in it. The reality is it costs a lot of money, and I don't think a lot of people are ready to foot that bill, or don't. Most people don't understand what that means. I mean, look at our thing, for example. Optometrists have been fighting, or they went on strike for 3 months for a raise after 30 years. And I had people saying I was selfish during that time. So how do you
you guys were on strike. I didn't even know that.
yeah, 3 months. 3 months we went on strike for OHIP, and
Who was
Did you
that for?
pick it? Did you pick it?
no, some people protest in front of Queen's Park.
Actually, I remember hearing about
Uh,
this. I remember actually hearing about
yeah, but
this.
we were declining services, right? So essentially OHIP does not allow you to um, charge if someone is eligible under OHIP, and that rate has not changed since the 80s. So
Yeah, I
it's
remember
the
hearing
same
about
rate,
this.
right? So if you think of things like inflation, cost of living, and then when you ask for it, it's not just this government. Remember, it's been so many governments that have dropped the ball. So we're a very small, um, amount of the entire. I think it's like point something percent of the total health budget, and they're not willing to change that. Like they're fighting us to the end of that. So you can imagine, getting things like hiring more doctors, paying for stuff. It's not
Crazy how
surprising.
like nurses though
Not surprising.
they're not
Yeah.
getting
Yep.
these
100%.
raises, but every other EMS services.
They just reality is. I mean, there's certain things that you need more of, and they need to fix the system. I think a lot of administration costs are too high in hospitals. You can streamline a lot more of it. Take examples from other parts of the world. I mean, lots can be done, but nobody wants to pay for it. It always comes down to money, right? So it's the sad truth.
So we have these protests going on. Do you see an end in sight?
Yeah, they're gonna get cold and go home. Like how long? You think they're not gonna be out there for months? Like,
I mean, I feel like the mandates are changing anyways, but slowly. But I think the lawsuits that these guys are feeling now, the lawsuits that are coming down, like they got charged. Every trucker, there's like a class action from the city, like residents of the city, for $10 million. It just happened tonight.
Yeah,
and
I saw
GoFundMe canceled their. Yeah. So now and they're holding the actual like owners of the truckers. All of them liable in the lawsuit.
Great. Sue everybody.
So
hire me.
If that doesn't move people to like
what a lawyer.
Go home,
at least we know who's making money. It's not the healthcare workers, damn lawyers.
Hell yeah.
I think they identified 60 people who are collectively being individually sued under like this $10 million lawsuit.
I mean, you're protesting, but what's the point of honking the horns all night long and block? Like, what are they? I mean, and they're coming to Toronto now. Now they're saying they're going to block healthcare services. I mean,
like, wait, why
farmers protest set up a health clinic, and these guys are stopping those kind of services, right? Like, what's the point? I don't understand. What's the end game here? He's not going to change anything. He's not going to.
We're just talking about these guys facing lawsuits. The indigenous people who have protested there before, they got criminal records. They got charged. So these guys have it pretty soft, to be honest, if it's just a civil claim against them right now. Boo fucking who.
Another thing, right? Like, why were we so quick and able to like end all these other types of blockades, like when the Tamils jumped on the 401 that one time, or Gardner, and then the Aboriginals with their various blockades for pipelines or things, like they got shut down pretty hard. The Conservatives MPs were pretty vocal in making sure the police acted and moved and had the power to do so. But this one's been, I feel like there's a little of a double standard here.
There always is, man.
It's obvious. This is like the prejudice of the fair skin.
If this doesn't scream the whole
if this is not privilege,
I don't know what does.
Yeah, exactly.
But what's messed up is they're not like, aren't they protesting on the Alberta border as well?
Yeah.
And like now those loads are getting, like, isn't that like an issue? Like you're fighting that. Their whole intention is, goods are going to be stalled, and the truckers they're hurting their own industry. Like those other guys are just sitting on the other side, unable to get through.
Yeah, well, a bunch of those Punjabi truckers apparently did have. Those Punjabi truckers apparently did get through. They just had to go through a different border.
But they shouldn't
have had to. They shouldn't have had to. I agree. I just wanted to put that there just for.
It's actually funny. This morning, as I was leaving for work, I saw Alberta ranchers are tripping out because they can't get their beef across the border.
Yeah, they're like,
they gotta go Yellowstone style.
Yellowstone,
man. Yellowstone, grab those shotguns.
I mean, eventually, I think it just comes down to it, man. But I want to get off this topic real quick.
No, I want to just pose this one question to you guys. All right,
go for it.
A lot has been said about these protesters that find there might be a few of them that are extremists, but we shouldn't demonize the rest of them. What they're doing is right, and they're protesting against the government overreach. So in principle, they're sound. Okay,
I agree with the principle, but
let me put it this way: let me take away white supremacists, the old stock Canadian extremist whites, extreme right, and let me say it's a Shiv Sena protest with Modi supporters protesting against the mandates. Do you, as a representative of Sikh Home, say 6 for this protest?
No.
Why? Why is that bad?
Don't.
Why is that bad?
Fuck them. because Modi and the BJP
Oh,
and Shiv Sena
oh
told
well,
them to fuck
we
them.
can't align. We can't align with Shiv Sena if our
No, I know
temporary
there's.
agreement,
But look, there's gonna be Sikh in India who do. That's why the
Fucking
BJP
lawyer.
Akali alliance,
right?
got to
I
where it
mean,
was.
yeah. I mean, who cares? What could it
It
be Indira
wasn't a
Gandhi's
thing.
family? That's leading this protest. If the principle is right, we should support it.
But I
And
mean, that's exactly the
so
argument
exactly. So
that Sikhs in India make.
that's my answer to
But no, Sikh.
everybody who goes on to say who cares. Let's ignore the extremists. No, if this is what you're okay with, and you're okay with, turning a blind eye to the people who are pushing this protest and what their agenda is, then you're complicit. You're complicit with what they believe in, and you're just as guilty of, what they are. It's all bullshit. It's complete bullshit.
Okay,
I always,
money, yeah, it's bullshit.
I
But at the
always
same
wonder
time,
what's.
Sikhs in
I always
India,
wonder.
they constantly make these exceptions when they vote Congress or when they voted Kali BJP alliance, or like they're constantly making these mental.
That's that's just politics.
And that's exactly what this is here. No,
I don't know what those guys carrying like the Nazi flags. I always wonder what's in their Cheerios in the morning. Seriously, like you got up in the morning thinking that would be a good idea. I'm gonna take this
but
Nazi
sometimes you
flag
gotta like.
and
There's
like
that argument that
yeah. And like, yeah, what did you think was gonna happen? Like
no,
What do
but
you
there's
think
also
happens on
like
meth,
that.
Robbie? When you take
huh?
meth, when you take meth, that's exactly what
It's
happens.
Fruit Loops sprinkled with crystal meth,
But
probably.
like
Yeah.
when some people were saying like, yo, if you're not confronting these elements in your protest, you're condoning them.
Yeah.
But what about the fact that what if those parties, the Nazi flag wearers and stuff, they've been inserted into these protests, trying to get people to confront them so they can be like, look, these protests are violent.
That's
Yeah.
Like
a tinfoil
they're
hat.
trying to. I don't know if it's sinful because
Let me bring that up. I
look,
mean,
policing and
we all
protest stuff that
there's
happened, the
this news.
G8 that happened, that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it was
like you,
documented that was happening, right?
well, like
Where police
Antifa and all that.
were with Antifa and like the way police would have people in the crowds kind of leading on a bit of a thing, opening up ruckus that the police would then be like, oh, we had to come in and crack down because there's ruckus.
Look, things like that happen. I just don't think they happen as often. I mean,
I think they happen pretty often in protests. Like during the
maybe.
BLM stuff, if police were doing that, it was documented that they were doing it pretty regularly. I could see them doing it just as easily in one of these protests because it gives them a way to move in.
I mean, look what they did to the Terry Fox statue. Like,
They didn't do much. They didn't do
they hung
much.
the flag was hung up
Fine.
upside down.
Okay, fine. Never mind. The
I
Terry Fox
mean,
thing was pretty soft, but what about the homeless
It doesn't
shelter in the
matter.
market? What about the homeless shelter in the market? They're stealing
What are
food
they?
from homeless people.
No way. I didn't hear
they're
about
stealing
this.
food from homeless
No.
people.
Dude, they
Yeah,
stole
were.
food from the homeless shelter.
That was pretty tight.
Wow. Truck drivers, man, I'm telling you. I told you
They're
on the
not
last
truck
podcast.
drivers. They're not
You
truck
guys couldn't hear
drivers.
my voice because of the
Come
audio,
back.
but I'm here to tell the public, truck drivers, man. Truck drivers. That's all I gotta say.
No. Truckers are nice guys, all right? They're all
Are they?
vaccinated.
How many trucks are there?
90%, 60
How many? No, that's it. The protest. 60
in the
trucks?
protest. Yeah, they try to say it was
How is that?
5,000, but the actual number that hung around the actual protest, they've counted them. It's 60 are being named in the civil suit.
And is that the same 60 now coming to Toronto?
No, new 60.
Oh, it's a new 60. Ooh.
Or it's a new number. I don't know if it's 60. I don't know what the number is.
Be
There are a
crazy.
lot of
Toronto
farmers
one
in the
will be
Toronto
way
one.
Bit
bigger.
crazy if like the people in condos and around Toronto just get fucking pissed off and just
You know
start
what's the
breaking
jokes
the
is they could
trucks and
live,
like it'd be
or they could just start throwing things down from their
throwing
balconies
shit
at
at
the
the truckers.
You know what's
Yeah.
crazy is we went from celebrating like all our hardworking truckers and nurses and doctors at the beginning of this to everyone hating the doctors, everyone hating the truckers. Basically, we found a way to hate frontline workers.
It's all these people at work at home. It's all you guys.
Yeah, we started this. We're
Complaining
like,
about-
celebrate
it's-
us.
Life's so
Us on
hard.
Zoom.
Life's so hard with Zoom.
And I love working from home. I'd never want this to go away.
That's why you're gonna be in the metaverse, man. You're gonna be stuck. Just be
I
there.
love. I make an effort to touch grass whenever I can, but working from home is so good. I'll never understand people who want to go into an office again.
Yeah. You're missing
Ranjit.
out, guys. You guys are missing out.
I want to quickly move on. We went from one dark topic. I just want to. We even want to talk about the Dilly Rape thing because.
I think let's just touch on it. It's wrong. It's fucked up.
How messed up! Like when I read the story, I was like, "Holy shit, this is fucked up. This is so
Oh,
dark, so evil."
I have actually
There's
have
like a
question to you
14-year-old
guys.
kid in it.
Wait. Are you really surprised? Let's
Yeah.
just talk about the context of India, the constant bus rapes you've heard about, and all the shit that already goes on. Are we really surprised, or do we always give that country a pass?
We give it a pass, but at the same time, that was pretty messed up. Like this scenario around it, the girl rejected advances from like this young kid while she was married, and he committed suicide in light of it. And his family's response is, "Well, you're a hoe."
Maybe they're like thought she let him on, or that's what the angle that they're peddling, or some shit like that. Who knows? But they're fucking cracked out. Um,
I love the sick response to it right now.
yeah, they're pretty badass.
No,
Like, "Asi
but
badala lana."
but yeah. But I mean,
You
like,
know,
look. At the end of the, you've had so many of these kind of. I'm not saying are you surprised. I mean, we have more insight to the story, but like, are we really surprised? You know, a country like where this happens. We all know this happens, but it's very sad when it gets described in the fashion that it was, and it's shocking all over again. I
so
just I just think that country needs to take a real hard look at itself and say we're not that
Who
great.
are
The
we?
worst thing I read on Twitter was someone compared the amount of rapes uh, as per capita compared to New York, and they say, well, we're better than New York. And I'm like, the fact that you're just justifying one or saying, oh, you
Really?
know, it just happened,
No
it's
way
not that
they're like
common.
comparable.
No, it's not even that they're comparable. The fact that you're just justifying it, it's like you need to take a hard look. Um, I don't know, man. I'm not
let me.
shocked
So
because
as
it's what
people,
I think of the country.
so people in that country and that will read the news and will be sick of seeing what happened. This is what they're probably thinking. All these rapes, all these horrible stories. The perpetrators that are doing it are not from Changai Kar De Munde and shit like that. They're all of broke ass uh, people of lower socioeconomic end, and they are, a lot of them migrants to Delhi. They live in these colonies of like, low class workers who come from outside, and they're not from there. They don't own them. Those Delhi people probably be like, "Yo, these are not our mans. These guys came from like fucking Bihar or some shit and settled in this colony. They're fucked up." So they'll attribute this to people of like no education and
There's like, yo, it's happening in the ghetto.
yeah, it's happening in the ghetto. They're dumbasses. This is what they're fucking jungleya, right? That's what they're gonna think, and this is
Yeah,
what they do.
but I mean that's a. I would say would that be more of a perspective of maybe of a richer woman because a lot of the rapes, or I mean, I'm not going to quote a fact for this. I wouldn't be surprised if it was usually a person from a higher class raping a person of lower class, and that happens a lot more because we probably don't hear about it. I mean that power dynamic is there. So yeah, they're going to blame this on a lower caste. Oh, they're not educated, this and that. But
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think the frequency of rape is or the presence of the act only is subsect to that section of the population. I think happens a lot more frequently in the richer classes. They think they're invincible, and
Oh, for
that's the
sure.
problem,
I know.
right?
I'm talking about
That's
the bus one, this one, like these big, huge
yeah,
stories.
yeah, or even the politicians that do it, and now they're getting caught up in it. Look, it's sad, you know. When I heard that, I have a daughter, and what else do you do? You have a sister. You think about that, but when I thought about where it was, I'm like, yeah, you know. I always laugh at like where are all these Bollywood actors now? You know, they're always saying, "Oh, India's so great." They were ready to stand up for Black Lives Matter, putting it on Twitter. Where are they? You know, this
They're
is
like,
just
yo,
not
if this
a
hasn't had the social conscience of the mainstream international
yeah.
thing yet, we don't have to do
Then it's not
anything
worth
about
it.
it.
Exactly right. It is no. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
making me
more of a
money,
PR move. The PR
and
doesn't justify them needing to say anything.
They also can't say shit because they get taxed really hard if they piss off Modi, right? So
well that too. But even if on that day you went onto the major websites of all the newspapers, it was hard to find this news. It wasn't there on the
But
front.
apparently,
It
this
wasn't
news is old
blast.
news. No,
Might have been
apparently this
old,
is
but
old news that kind
but as
of
it
came into the
well, let's say
diaspora's
let's say it's a few,
diaspora's
compromise.
But if it was a few weeks old, you'd still have a bunch of articles on it, right? So if it had, imagine this happened here.
Like apparently there was
Something,
no coverage about it until
yeah,
like some social media accounts really jumped on it, and then social media ran with it. Then that forced the papers to like look into what happened. Hold on, it's like because
I'm
these
just saying
dumbasses were posting their videos on Instagram and stuff that people
But
caught
it's
it.
also India, man. There's a
yeah,
numbers game of a country of
Yeah,
a
yeah,
billion. If a bus crashed there, it killed 30 people. Who
no
gives
one
a
here
shit?
would
That's a
notice.
Tuesday. In
Yeah,
Canada, it would be a memorial for a decade.
yeah, and that's the well, that's
that's the
that's
Well,
unfortunate.
the truth of their country. But I mean, you know what's crazy though? I don't know if you guys watched the video. If you watch the faces of the ladies, men get a lot
Yeah,
of blame. That those ladies had no remorse. I don't care who you
no.
are. If you were
I mean,
raised by
ladies are pretty bad with that, right? Like the mean
no, but if
girl.
you what I'm saying is if you were raised in a certain way, um,
Hmm,
you have morals, you have remorse. If you that was sheer evil. Like I was watching that, I was like,
yeah,
wow. Like there's no, and even the 14-year-old,
fair enough.
they're laughing. People on the street are laughing. I'm like, there's no humanity there, right? And that's taught. And
Yeah, okay.
it's the worst thing. It's women. That was
I see what you're
that
saying.
was
Yeah,
the most surprise. It was the women who were carrying this out. So I think even discussions at home, I'm saying it. That's we always talk about how bad males are, and yes, that's a given. We're idiots, and I'm not gonna try to
it's a
defend
lack of empathy in
our
that country here.
yeah is and the fact that women were the ones pushing the narrative, with a lot of these stereotypical norms that we have in Indian society, it's carried on by traditions through women.
Fair
So
enough.
I think there's something to kind of look at there, and I don't know. For me,
good
that
way
was
to
the most shocking
mansplain
thing.
it, Robbie. Good job.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for mansplaining it down
I'm not
to.
mansplaining it. I'm just saying that I think that we forget that it's everybody. Everyone's evil, right? So
Fair enough. All right, I don't even know how to transition off this topic in any sensible way, other than I'm not even going to go have this great transition here. Tom Brady retired this week. Someone who did a lot of things to a lot of people in the league, ended a lot of careers.
That's the transition.
that's
Um,
abuse to abuse.
someone who ended a lot of people's careers, prevented a lot of people from getting Super Bowls. How y'all feel about Tom Brady finally retiring? Is he going to come back? Is he going to do the?
No, I mean, I'm
No,
I'm happy
I
that
think
he
he's done.
recognized that he was no longer good and he should exit the league.
I don't know about
Um,
that.
I mean, I feel like he was still
it's-
better, top five.
no, I don't think he was better than the Mahomes, the Allens, the Herberts. All these guys are really good. This huge new class of under 26 QBs that have at least
He
another
barely
decade,
he was only out by a point during this last
decade.
run,
Yeah,
right?
like
I
he
mean,
almost
yeah, I
won.
mean, it's really tough to play with a top five defense and an amazing, offensive
Okay,
arsenal. It's
if he
pretty
got to the
hard.
Super Bowl, if he got to the Super Bowl, lost by 1 point, do you think he gets to come back?
No,
He
what do you
in
mean
his
gets
statement,
to
he's
it?
just
He
like,
made
I'm
his own
done
decision.
training.
No, in your mind, you're saying that he's already a subpar quarterback. If he makes it to the Super Bowl this year, let's say he wins that
He-
game, wins the next championship game, is he then still in your mind now still a top tier quarterback, or was it because he lost in the first round?
Honestly, just think you Brady haters need to take a step back and just recognize that this dude did change the game.
This dude
He
won a
has to
lot
go,
because he had a great team and he won off their backs. It's pretty
and then he
good.
went to a different team and won with them,
With the great team,
Buccaneers.
amazing team.
I mean, it's a
What
team game. Which quarterback won with a shitty team?
exactly,
So you're saying quarterbacks
exactly.
in general
A
are
great,
overrated?
yeah, like a great quarterback. Sorry, a decent quarterback or average quarterback can be carried by a great team. Happens
No.
in all the time in that sport, all the time.
Okay.
Go.
I don't know. I think you guys give Brady too much flack. You guys got to just give him his flowers. I'm not a huge football guy, but
No, no,
give Brady
I
his
think
flowers. No,
I think he's one of the greatest. I don't have to cheer for him, but you gotta.
I think he has to be the greatest. No,
He is the greatest.
he's
He
gonna
is the
have one of
greatest.
the
I take that
yeah,
back. Rajit
like
seething right
stats
now.
He
wise.
won a lot. That's all I
He
can
won a
say.
lot. The one metric
Did he break like
that
every
matters
record
most
that
in
there is?
sports. Yeah.
He won a lot. It's good, man. It's
Just
good. Good for
Talking about
him.
winning, Canadian men's soccer. We haven't clinched it
Yes.
yet. We still have like 3 more games. But you think this is here to stay? Or is Canada reached that point now that we're going to be a World Cup
I think
resident?
no. I think we just have a good batch, a good uh, cohort right now. But I think the grassroots are there. I don't know one kid right now that plays soccer that plays for like the city league, they're all playing in academies these days. There's so many
Hmm.
academies. So that means coaches have gone abroad, learned how to be proper coaches, understand the game, have come back and started academies, or have brought in talent from like Brazil, UK, all these big soccer countries, and have coaches from there teaching kids. And that itself, in 20, 30 years from now, is going to make us a soccer power.
I was actually talking to someone that you're familiar with, and he's involved in coaching with an academy here. And I was asking him, like, look, my kid's 4 years old. He's going to be 4 years old come summer, I guess. What should I do? Is Timbit soccer still good enough? He's like, no, bro. Don't even. He's like, screw that. You got to put him in this one academy or that academy. He obviously said come to our academy, and I was like, really? I thought Timbit soccer, they're just chasing the ball
Funny.
anyways.
Yeah,
And
it's
he's like,
funny.
no, you gotta get them started right. He's like, we start with kids 4 years old, just grilling fundamentals and doing it the right way.
My kid starts school tomorrow, or sorry, soccer tomorrow,
Really, indoor?
indoor. Two and
I got
he's like 2 years old.
I got ice skating tomorrow. I'm kind of
My
excited for
daughter,
that.
my daughter did Timbit soccer this summer,
You
and
How
don't love
was
her,
it?
eh? You don't love her. I guess that's why you didn't put her in academy.
man, money's hard to come by these days.
Yeah, eh?
Um,
That's what we're
but
on
I
strike.
mean, with the province not giving you guys that raise right
man,
away.
yeah, strike and hard times for us. But no, it was just it's close by, and it just exposure. See if she even likes it, because I don't believe in
Yeah,
forcing a kid to do something that they may not like. So, uh, but it was funny. It's
you're
funny
doing
to
it all
watch it
wrong,
because
Robbie.
it's
You
not.
gotta
It's
Yeah.
force
not
them to
serious.
do everything,
Sorry,
and you gotta live vicariously through. You're doing it all wrong. You gotta be
what do you mean?
pushing like you're not going pro in soccer. I don't want to love you anymore. Right now, you gotta plant that seed right here
Yeah. You
You know,
tell
so
your
that
kid,
they know.
I don't have a
look, there's
retirement. You're my retirement.
well, I think it's like the way I see it. I mean, I hope that she picks a summer sport, a winter sport, and swimming. Like those are my three,
Yeah,
kind of, and whatever it is within those, fine, so be it. But yeah, the Timbit soccer, it wasn't that. It was look. I mean, it's hard to keep their attention, anyways, right? But yeah, some of the coaches were good. I mean, I've played soccer. I don't think they did anything wrong. But yeah, I do agree when the kid gets older, maybe understands the game a bit more, the subtleties. Academy is fine in terms of Canadian soccer in the future. I think it's a good start. I do think, I mean, years ago we would talk about if we talk about genetic diversity in this country. We have kids from all over the world, and they're going to bring those genetics. And eventually, through training programs, we are going to have a class of amazing athletes and amazing soccer players because we are a world country, right? We're going to have every country represented within our national team. So I think the future's bright. How long? I'm going to say 10 years, right? 10 years
I
where
say
it's like you're hearing players from here going all over the world. Always Canadian national, and it's going to take time. But the advantage we have is we so many different immigrants.
who
It's
our
Yeah.
team's like best 3 players or 4 players, all imports. Like they're all
yep,
immigrants
yeah, all immigrants,
who, and
and
all of them
that's
who feel like they owe the country a thank you by playing for it.
what was the kids from Brampton? What's his name? There's a kid from Brampton as well, right?
There's
There's a
two.
few. There's a few.
Oh, is there a few? Oh, I
Yeah,
don't know.
there's a
Boucher,
few
yeah, Brampton's on the map for
for
soccer
soccer.
right
Tristan
now.
Thomas, man, put us there.
And I don't know if he's more known for his basketball stuff or for hooking up with the Kardashian. I feel like
It's too
it's the
easy.
latter right now. But
But yeah, I mean, kids in soccer, yeah. I mean, it's Timbit soccer's
I agree
fine,
with
but I
you.
mean,
I want a winter sport, a summer sport, and then swimming.
yeah, man, it's just hard to.
Honestly,
I don't want to.
and
I
if they
can't be
want
one
to,
of those. I'm scared of hockey. I'm just gonna let you know. I'm dead scared of hockey. I kind of hope my
I mean,
kids
I'm
don't
not.
pick
I'm gonna put
hockey.
the kid through hockey and stuff. But like, if he wants it, football is the only one that I'm probably not gonna put him in.
Yeah.
8. Sorry, guys. Just wanted to step in. 8 players from Brampton on the men's national team.
Wow. Really?
That's pretty crazy. That's pretty. Yeah, because I know Osario and I want to say pronounce the guy's name Boucher
No, Buchanan.
Buchanan.
But
All
it's
right,
crazy.
Buchanan,
You
fuck
can't.
it.
Hutchinson,
It's late. I
Miller,
don't have anything open in front of
Laren.
me. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, Miller, Henry,
But is it?
I knew a
Would you
Red.
few.
say? I mean, getting into the World Cup is like our World Cup, isn't it? Just the
Yeah.
fact
Is
that we're
it?
there. Honestly, I'm watching those videos. I'm getting tingles. I'm like, man, this is
Yo,
insane.
how many
Right? You can't.
Canadian flags are going to be on people's car? Or people still going to put their
It's
country
crazy.
flags on their car?
No,
Is it gonna
no,
be?
Canada. It's gonna be
Canada,
Canada
man.
here.
Are they gonna have the
Yeah.
Italian flag on the left and
No,
the
no.
Canadian flag on the
You know
right?
what pisses me off is, yeah, fine. I could if you're of that heritage or nationality, fine. Like I get it, but the person who has like the Uruguay flag and the, the England flag or something, that it makes no sense. Pick a fucking team.
I mean, it might be a husband and wife combination, right? Where
What if they're
they.
No,
mixed,
no, no. Just
bro?
pick a
Why are you being
fucking team.
racist? Yeah, what if they're
Pick a
mixed?
fucking
Both
team.
countries.
No, no. You're just being a loser. Pick a fucking team.
I really hope we win a game though. Like I want to get to the
Oh, I
big
don't even
show,
care.
and
I don't even
I
care.
want to see us win. I don't think we got to win the whole thing, but I want to see us,
It's like
be.
Scotland. When Scotland wins anything in soccer, they know they're not going to win the final, but they're goddamn happy when they play. So it's like,
You know,
I want to be like
yeah,
Iceland.
Iceland.
I want to
Yeah,
beat Iceland, and I want that same reaction. I want that thunderclap going because the thunderclap during TFC games was so much fun.
well, they brought up the drum, didn't they, at the end of the
they
Hamilton
did it.
game?
Yeah, they did
Yeah,
it.
the
Yeah,
players
yeah,
were doing that. Was pretty sick. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't
But
know.
No, and apparently
Iceland
Iceland
made
didn't
it.
even start it. Iceland made it big, but it was actually a Irish team that started it, the whole thing. So
Iceland's actually a great blueprint for what Canada's doing. They're a small nation country who didn't have a big soccer program, and they made it to the World Cup, and they played this like deep block system where they would just like withstand wave after wave of defense and just counter and score a goal. They played such a truculent, like stingy one goal
now
winner
say that
game,
with a British
and they
accent, and I'll
went pretty
actually be
far.
impressed.
They went pretty far, dude.
Truculent. They
They
played a
went.
truculent, assistant game.
Let's not go down that road, but. Dude, they went pretty far. You never know, man. With soccer, and it's a great sport. Like, they'll, upsets are so rampant in that game.
You
It's
know how
so
crazy it
good.
would be is if we're celebrating a soccer win like we do hockey wins. I think that'd be pretty blessed.
Is this as long as we're not like the Jamaican bobsled team? That's all that matters to me.
No, I think when this team goes to Qatar and comes back, there's going to be a huge reception at Pearson Airport.
I
You mean
mean, depending
Qatar?
on
You mean
what
Qatar,
the
right?
mandates, right? I thought it was
Qatar.
Qatar.
Qatar,
Qatar.
Qatar. Qatar. This guy's straight.
I'm saying it
Qatar.
like the soccer supporters are gonna say it. We're going to Qatar, baby.
Qatar, baby. I would, yeah.
Oh man,
I'm planning
it's
on
gonna be
going.
fun. It's been fun soccer to watch though. I don't really watch too much. I didn't really watch too many other qualifiers before this year. Like just the occasional highlight. I'll watch some
Because
MLS, but
you always thought we're gonna lose. That's the
I mean, we
every
lost
time
to
you
Haiti
watch.
that one.
No, but you have the assumption in World Cup qualifying that Canada's not going to make it. Like there was always
Yeah.
this, like they're playing. I'm still going to cheer for them, but the realization is they're
I
not
honestly
gonna
just
make
want the Canadian men's basketball team to like nut up and do the same thing
it.
now.
I think the soccer's bigger than anything though.
We
And
we
I
have
think
so
it's gonna
many
be
star
huge.
basketball players. The fact that we're not doing this in basketball is saddening.
National stage wise, soccer will be huge if they actually
Yeah,
go there and
no,
put on a good
look, I
show.
like soccer
Like,
enough that I'll enjoy watching the men's national team do it up. So I
are
think
you guys?
that. Pardon?
So are you guys going to watch the Olympics, like the Winter Olympics? Cheer for
I
Canada.
swear to God, I didn't even know Olympics was happening until like 2 days ago. Someone's like, "I'm in China for the Olympics." I was like, "What? There's an Olympics and it's in China? What the? Should China be even hosting an Olympics right now?"
Who's
Yeah, they
playing the
took
hockey? Who's even playing the
COVID
hockey?
pretty seriously.
Huh? I was
Even
just
the
so
hockey
surprised
games,
that
it's like
the Olympics
B
were
players.
happening. Yeah, well, Canada said they're not sending. The NHL said it's not sending players. Well, fair enough. You
Yeah,
don't want to send them in this
you got
climate.
you got a lot of younger players, a lot of like older players. It's a mix of the hodgepodge.
I'll probably tune in see what's going on in a few of like the popular events. But honestly, I did not know the Olympics were starting until 2 days ago. Still not all that into it. Once I start seeing some medal counts, maybe then I'll.
You know
What's
what?
the
And I
sport?
can tell you
What's the
guys
sport?
something cool about the Olympics because they're happening in China. They're and you know what China's like. It's their way or the highway. They've been doing some cool, pretty badass things. So, um, there was Taiwan that came in, and they were introduced as like China's Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then Hong
Yeah, China
Kong
like
came in. Hong Kong came in right after is Hong Kong, China, and then the camera panned to the chairman of China, like clapping, and the Canadian broadcasters like, just FYI, like we don't have control of this. This is very much a state sponsored broadcast, and that was done deliberately. And do you guys remember India and China had the skirmish in the Galwan region last year?
okay. Yeah.
So the flag bearer for the Olympic Games was a soldier, a Chinese soldier who, won for China that skirmish. And India protested of, them having that soldier being the flag bearer, that they said, we're not sending any diplomats to the opening ceremony. So what did China do? They banned the any broadcast going to India from the Olympics. I don't give a fuck. Fuck India. 1 billion people. They said fuck off.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I like that China kind of flexes that kind of shit when they can, just to remind people that we're still in charge here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a
All right,
scary
next week
thought,
we'll
though.
talk more about the Uregard. Is it Uregard or Uregard genocide?
Yeah. No,
Is it really happening?
We'll get
Is it
taken
really
off.
happening? Dude, I'm reading a lot about how that's not even a genocide and it was a false thing by the CIA to defame China. Because there's not like the sources that originated that report don't like line up. But Western
I
media all jumped on it because they're down to like.
I've heard of that too. That and like
But
those other guys. You know the guys that do that martial art that's really slow. What do you call it? Tai Chi?
Tai Chi, it's
You
not
know
really a
there's
martial
that
art.
you know that group that say they're persecuted in China about it?
You're talking about
Okay, no, I
like
don't know much
Tibetan
about it.
monks,
No.
like the Dalai Lama,
No. There's a group.
Buddhists.
There's another group that they say that they're persecuted. Apparently that's all fake too.
But who knows? There's nothing. It's hard to know what's real about that country because of how the politics and the media spin here kind of run with it. But hey, we'll talk about that next week on Much Ado About Nothing. Be sure to drop comments. Let us know if we should be talking about anything, including Oregon's genocide. I don't know. You guys have any things that you want to like let the audience know? For the 5 of you who made it this far in the podcast, we appreciate you. Thank you
I
for
would have
giving us
forwarded
a.
a long time ago.
Yeah, I would have like stopped after like I wouldn't even have made it halfway. I think Robbie just doesn't have that voice no more. He's got a better voice. At least he got a decent mic now.
Oh, it's
Oh,
COVID.
yo,
I
Robbie,
blame
do me a
COVID.
real favor. Move your mic closer to your mouth, though. I'm
But
just
you
curious.
told me to move it away at the start. Now you're saying move it back.
No,
Is
I
that better?
want.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's better?
Can you put it even closer?
Like in?
No,
And out?
not in. Just like move it closer.
Hello?
That's amazing.
That is so amazing. Why wasn't it there the whole time?
Why'd you guys tell me? We could have just paused and
I
fixed
didn't
it.
know when to take a break, but there we go. Now we know where your mic should be for next week. You also had a hum going on this whole time. I know how to fix
I
that,
did?
so I didn't want to. Yeah, it's like this white noise.
Is it the furnace
Randy,
behind
don't you
me,
hear
maybe?
it?
I hear it.
Is it my furnace?
Like, I'm gonna try getting rid of it in post. I'm just saying it's there. I couldn't
Is it
figure out what it
bad?
was. No, it's just there.
It might be my furnace.
No.
Like I'm gonna de-hum it. I'm gonna put a de-hummer. It sounds very electrical.
Yeah, it's
Like check your cable. Can you like push
Mine's
it
a USB
forward
cable,
into
bro.
your? Oh
I don't know. I just plugged the USB in.
yeah, that shouldn't be a USB song. I don't know. There's something there. I don't know what it was, and I didn't know how to
Hold on.
troubleshoot it. That's why I didn't bring it up.
Does this make it better or worse?
Same.
Oh, shit. Look.
All right, next week we're gonna figure out Robbie's connection even more, but
start
we
an hour
it's a
early
step
and
up.
troubleshoot
It's
the
a step up. I mean, that was
Can we
my
already
bad.
end the
I was
podcast?
like,
We're still doing this?
yeah, well, I just wanted people to know that our audio will get better as we look. The last time we did the podcast, it took us about 10 episodes in before our audio cleaned up. Hopefully, we get to it
Our
by
audio,
episode
he
5.
means me. Let's just be clear. Just you mean me.
I just mean generally, like even my audio was kind of weird last episode. I had a lot of cuts from Craig, so hopefully my internet was better this week.
Randy's
Craig,
not admitting
get
any
out of
faults.
here.
Yeah,
peace, Craig.
Randy was the cleanest mic, so we'll
Don't you
figure
love
this out.
it?
Look, it's a learning process. Craig doesn't leave. Craig is here for life. All right, everyone. Peace. Let us know in the comments if there's anything you want us to talk about. You can actually leave voicemails now. If you hit that anchor thing, you can leave little voice notes. And if you leave some voice notes, we'll consider adding them. I don't know. Depends on what you say about us. But yeah, be sure to hit that follow button, retweet our shit, share it with other people in your networks, and we'll continue saying dumb things.
Peace.